Welcome to another Maintenance Monday. We're continuing on with our in-between segments, and we're talking about tools. Today is going to be vice grips. You may be looking at these and figure, well, what do I need a pair of vice grips for? Well, these have a lot of uses. They're good for clamping force. They're good for pulling on things. They're good for grabbing things, twisting. Like if you've ever broken a bolt, you can grab the end of the shaft of the bolt that's broken off, clamp down on, and hence the name Vise Grip. It's like a mini vise in your hand. So they also are great for holding things, bending things. They have a multi-use of function. There's so many different manufacturers on the market. Just buy what works for you. I've used Irwin for years. That's the original vice grip, the company that makes the original vice grip still. And I find that they work the best. They last the longest and the teeth don't deteriorate as quickly. But I do like these, and they have a lot of different uses. But I'm going to show you one use that I use as a technician and personally on my own RV, on what we use these for. Okay, so give me a minute and we'll be right back. Sometimes you're just driving down our wonderful, beautiful American roads. Everybody knows what I'm talking about, how smooth they are. Not. They are bouncing our RVs to death, and it shakes everything and it moves everything, and everything is twisting and flexing. Well, when that happens, trim falls off. The question is how do you remove those pesky nails and staples? Well, I like my vice grips. So come on in close with me and we will talk about how to remove this style nail or staple. So let's start with nails. Okay, so when we use these, okay, these nails are very brittle. All right, they're designed with little teeth, so as they go in, they hold and they grip better. The problem is they don't usually want to come out very easy, so we can't use a hammer, a claw hammer, to pull them out. Generally, needle nose pliers don't work too well, and so I've found that this works the best. Be careful, because yes, you can do damage to soft woods if you're not careful doing this. You're going to come in, you're going to clamp down, make sure you got a good amount of tension, as close to the wood as possible. Okay, clamp down, and you want the top edge of the vice grip to rotate, and you're going to rotate this as a pry tool, and you're going to rotate it down and pull it out. And again, that's minimal damage to the wood. You can do smaller if you need to get into a tighter area. This is why I like the 5WR. Same concept. We're going to clamp down, a little more clamping force, clamp down, and then rotate. Okay, now of course this is a smaller jaw, so we have to unclamp it a couple of times, or at least twice. Clamp it again, rotate, and it pulls it out. This smaller one is going to give you less leverage than the bigger one, but it's going to allow you to get into a tighter area. So sometimes you might not have a lot of room, so that's where the 5WR comes in handy over the 7WR. These are my go-to pliers. I carry these all the time when I go on a service call to fix a piece of trim, or someone comes into the shop and we need to take the trim off to do an inspection or to fix something and then have to put the trim back on. I will literally take all the staples out one by one with this. Now let's talk about staples. Staples, I don't like hammering in staples a lot of times. You know, you can do the same thing. So if you have a staple that's popping up like that, because what's going to happen is if you hit that staple, you're now going to create a dimple with the hammer. The flat tip punch, and you can come in here with a hammer and a punch, and you can punch this down with the hammer gently, and now it's flush and you didn't ruin your trim or your wood. How do we get these out? Well, this is the perfect size. If you look at the size of the staple versus the head, I can now put this on here, clamp it down, and now I can rotate it and pull that staple clean out. So you can see, even with staples, that's a long staple. Even with these staples, I can pull them out and then I can restaple if I need to. or fill the holes in. Okay, so let's say you have a staple right here that's protruding up, but you don't want to tap it in for whatever purpose that may be. You don't want to tap that staple in, but it's coming up and you want to get that staple out. If this is decorative wood, you want to be careful. All right, you may damage it. So that's my disclaimer here, is do this at your own risk. But if you have to, you can get under there and you can pry it up enough to be able to get the screwdriver in and pull it up enough to grab hold of it. Okay, now we grab our Vise Grips, we clamp down and we rotate it and pull it out. If you go to use a hammer like this, a claw style hammer, by the time you get to here, now you're going to start putting force on the head. That's going to press into your board or your paneling, and it's going to start cracking it. And if you're not careful, you'll go straight through, right like that, by the time you get the nail out, right? If the nail even holds at all, because these are not traditional nails. They do not have heads large enough to fit in here. They just always want to fall out, see? They will fall out. So that's why I like Vise Grips. You'll have to be careful, and again, be careful, because if you go too quick, too fast, and really wrench on that to get that out, what's going to happen is you will damage the wall. The stuff that's on your walls and your camper is super thin, and it's easily bendable, breakable, crackable. So you have to be very careful. These are invaluable for just about every job that I do on an RV. Even on my own personal RV, if I have to hold something, grip something, twist something, this gives me the extra force I need to do that. Matter of fact, I was putting here's a great story. I was putting a belly pan back on a customer's RV, and it was a brand new fastener. It must have hit something in the frame when I was reinstalling the screws into the belly pan, and it just sheared the bolt off. My trusty Vise Grips here, put it on there, grabbed it, and started rotating it and spun it out. Then I made sure that the hole was clear and put the new fastener in. Doesn't mean you use them for every project or every situation, but they do come in handy. Take it from myself, who is not only a technician, but also a full-time RVer. I full-time on my RV with my wife, 4 kids, and a dog. And the key is we are weight limited. And I have to be mindful of what tool I take. So every tool you have on board your RV needs to serve in a multifaceted function. These are small, they're not light, but they're small, and they fit in a small space, and they make up part of my tool bag. Obviously, and I'll have the camera pan and zoom out here, but obviously I can't take this on my RV. I have a tool locker, a chest, a hutch, stuff up top, and another box over here. I can't take these things with me when I'm on the go. I guesstimated this whole setup that I have here at the shop where I work weighs around 2,500 pounds. So if I brought this with me, I wouldn't be able to take anything else with me. And there's not a lot of RVs that I can fit all of this on and still be able to go places. Now maybe a motorhome, a big toy hauler motorhome or something like that, I could build this into that setup. But then I still have to think about I'm carrying 2,500 pounds. So every tool must have a multifaceted purpose, a function in which that tool operates. So carrying a big heavy claw hammer when you're not going to be really pounding on a wall with a claw hammer or pulling nails with a claw hammer makes no sense. These do, because I can grip a fastener with it, I can hold a panel with it, I can hold 2 pieces together as I'm gluing or trying to weld them together. I can use it for pulling nails. I can pull nails out of the wall, staples out of the wall, and then restaple. Again, multifunctional, multifaceted tools are really key to keeping the weight down on your RV and being able to RV more effectively. That's my tip for this week. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you got something out of it. Comment below if you have a story of your own that basically has a vice grip got me out of something story. Anyway, enjoy your week and enjoy the journey.